evening, Africa, and thank you for joining us. You are watching the news on African Free Press Television. My name is Bridget Okudili with the news updates. The number of dead persons in the Lekki five-story building collapse has risen to 7, authorities say. The building, which was under construction, collapsed at Chisco bus stop in Lekki Phase 1 area of Lagos State in southwestern Nigeria. Spokesman for the National Emergency Management Agency NEMA Southwest Zone, Ibrahim Farinloye, gave the new figure. He said 8 persons have been rescued so far. He had earlier said 4 people had died and 6 others rescued. Mr. Farinloye said the persons affected may be workers at the construction site. Taking part in the rescue operation are Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, Lagos State Building Control Agency, police and personnel of the civil defense. About 3 excavators are also being used by NEMA in the rescue efforts. Former President Goodluck Jonathan emerged the African Leadership Magazine Person of the Year 2015 ahead of many other high-profile nominees drawn from all over Africa. The nominees include Strive Masiyiwa, founder, Econet Wireless; Tony Elumelu, chairman of Hairs Holding; Mlabo Njuka, executive director, UN Women; Akinwumi Adesina, president, African Development Bank; Kofi Annan, former UN Secretary General; and Bola Ahmed Tinubu, national leader of Progressives Congress. The news was communicated to the former president in letters signed by Cletus Watterson, former Liberian Pro Tem Senate President and Chair 2015 African Leadership Person of the Year Selection Committee. He noted that the Selection Committee and the African Leadership Advisory Board placed a very high premium on Jonathan's commitment towards deepening democracy on the African continent. Representatives of the Swiss government are expected in Nigeria on Tuesday to discuss with their Nigerian counterparts the repatriation of another tranche of huge public funds stolen by late head of state Sani Abacha. The delegation will be led by the Swiss Minister for Foreign Affairs Didier Burkhalter, who is expected to meet with Vice President Yemi Osibanjo and the Minister for Foreign Affairs Godfrey Onyama over the repatriation of the $321 million confiscated from the family of late former head of state Sani Abacha. An official of the Swiss embassy in Nigeria, Pascal Holliger, confirmed the visit to journalists on Monday. But some Swiss and Nigerian civil society groups who got wind of the impending visit dispatched a petition to President Muhammad Buhari demanding that his government give assurance that the $321 million that would be returned to Nigeria by the Swiss government would be put to good use. The governor of Osun State, Ralph Aregbesola, has announced the creation of 31 new local council development areas (LCDAs) by his administration. Mr. Aregbesola stated this Tuesday in a state broadcast to the people of the state. He said additional 31 local council development areas, 3 area councils and 2 administrative offices were created. The governor said his administration would make judicious use of its revenues in a way that increasing the number of councils will least constitute any financial burden. Mr. Aregbesola also announced the dissolution of the management committees of the existing 30 local councils and area office, the executive secretariats, deputy executive secretariats, members, special advisors, and other functionaries. The former Minister for Petroleum Resources, Mrs. Yeziani Alison Madueke, who is currently undergoing extensive cancer treatment in London, has strongly refuted claims that she gave $24 billion oil swap deals without contract. In a release issued to journalists in Abuja, Mrs. Alison Madueke rejected some newspaper and online reports with sensational claim that she granted an extension instead of approval for the renewal of contracts for the swap arrangements. She described the latest attack on her person as fabricated tissues of lies deviously concocted to sustain the escalating evil narratives against her person. South African President Jacob Zuma says his government will do everything possible to ensure that the monies confiscated by South Africa during Goodluck Jonathan's regime are returned to Nigeria. Mr. Zuma made the promise while addressing reporters after bilateral talks with President Muhammad Buhari in the presidential villa, Abuja. For over 2 hours, President Buhari and the South African president discussed several issues aimed at deepening the relationship between the two countries. They also reviewed over 30 bilateral agreements the two countries had signed over the years. The President told the reporters that the Nigerian and South African governments were working on the matter and that the relevant structures were already recovering some of the loot. And on the foreign scene, a former U.S. missionary has been sentenced to 40 years in prison for sexually abusing children at an orphanage in Kenya. Matthew Lane Durham, 21, had committed heinous crimes on the most vulnerable victims, the U.S. court said. Durham targeted orphans while working as a volunteer at the Upendo Children's Home in Kenya's capital, Nairobi, between April and June 2014. He is the latest charity worker in Kenya to be convicted of sex crimes. The governor of the Bank of England has said that Britain's membership of the EU has reinforced the dynamism of the UK economy. In a pre-hearing letter to the Treasury Committee, Mark Carney said that the relationship had helped the UK to grow. In a sometimes fractious exchange with MPs on the committee, Mr. Carney denied claims he was pro-EU. Conservative MP Jacob Rees-Mogg accused him of making pro-EU comments beneath the dignity of the bank. The referendum on, however, Britain should remain in the European Union is to be held on Thursday, 23rd of June. Mr. Carney emphasized that the bank was not taking sides in the EU referendum. And for more stories, please log on to our website at www.africanfreepress.com. Like our Facebook page at African Free Press. Follow us on Twitter at African Free Press. Don't forget to join in our discussions at African Free Press Forum and subscribe to our YouTube channel at African Free Press. My name is Bridget Okudili. Do have a good evening.